Hello everybody, and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be discussing everything you need to know about exiting members from AmeriCorps. In this video, we're going to discuss all aspects of AmeriCorps exits. I will begin by briefly discussing the basic paperwork requirements for all AmeriCorps member files, so what you need to have in member files prior to initiating their online eGrants exit. Then we're going to spend most of the video detailing the eGrants procedures for exiting an AmeriCorps member from that online system. In the last part of this video, we're going to dive into the different types of exits that are available for our YouthBuild AmeriCorps members and specific requirements for each type of exit. So let's begin. And again, we're going to begin this process by making sure that we have everything in place in a member file that needs to be there before moving forward with an AmeriCorps exit. So before exiting a member, first and foremost, you must check and ensure that all timesheets are complete. This means that each and every timesheet has a staff and member signature, and all signatures are dated. You must also confirm that the hour log is accurate, paying particular attention to the training limit rule and double checking that the total number of hours your hour log reports only includes 20% or less of training time. This is the opportunity to use the Exit Helper tool in your hour log if you need to adjust any reported training time down. One final document that is needed in each and every AmeriCorps member's file is an end-of-term evaluation. This is needed for every member, regardless of what slot type they were enrolled into or how they are being exited. Every member needs a complete, signed and dated end-of-term evaluation. Once you've double-checked that the evaluation is on file and double and really triple-checked that your hour logs are complete and accurate, you're ready to move forward with exiting an AmeriCorps member in eGrants. First, let's start with a quick summary of what the AmeriCorps exit process looks like in the eGrants and My AmeriCorps online systems. The first step to exit an AmeriCorps member is to make sure that the member's exit form is available to them. Sometimes this will happen automatically, and sometimes you will need to manually unlock the exit form. Once that form is made available, the member then needs to be involved in their exit. Members must certify their exit by completing their exit form within their My AmeriCorps account. Only after the member completes their exit form can the program then move forward and complete the official exit in eGrants. Now, as you can see on this flowchart, there is an option available, if absolutely necessary, for staff to push forward and exit in eGrants themselves when a member is unavailable or unreachable. And of course, I will detail each of these steps more as we move forward. So let's get into eGrants and start this process. To begin, I want you to know where to access and view the list of members at your program who need to be exited, and really where you're going to be navigating to manage your exit process for your members. So I'm in the pending exit section of eGrants. To get there, first I've clicked on the SNN Workbasket tab in the left-hand column menu on your portal homepage. And then I've clicked over to the last tab in the Workbasket on the top menu where you see Pending Exits. This is where all your members at your program waiting to be exited will be listed. Now, there are two ways that a member is going to be moved into this list. One happens automatically, and that is when a member gets within 30 days of their expected completion date. So AmeriCorps automatically assigns an expected completion date in eGrants to all members, and it is simply 1 year after their start date. So again, if a member gets within 30 days of that expected completion date, eGrants will automatically move them into your pending exits list and also automatically make the member's exit form available to them. However, most YouthBuild programs operate on a calendar that is shorter than 12 months, and so your members will often be ready for exit earlier than this. Which means the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to manually unlock a member's exit form and move them into pending exits. So here I've navigated to a members page. So you have found a member from your program who you are looking to exit. And this is their member information homepage, at the bottom of which you can see their service term information section, and you're going to click the orange view button next to the service term you are looking to exit the member from. When you do that, what will open up is the member service term information page, and you can see very clearly right there in the middle of the screen the blue button you will click on that is labeled Unlock Exit Form. As soon as you click that button, the exit form will be available for the member to complete, and the member will now appear in your Pending Exits tab in your work basket. So now we have to discuss getting that exit form I've mentioned several times completed. And this is where the member gets involved in the process. We've made sure that the exit form is available to them. Now we need to make sure that they complete it. When a member was first enrolled into eGrants, into AmeriCorps at the beginning of their term of service, they created a AmeriCorps account. As a reminder, this is essentially the member side of eGrants. So at the end of their term now, you need to make sure that first, the members can still access and log into their online account. This is really important because also when you issue them their education award, this AmeriCorps account is how they will receive and access and use that ed award. But before that can happen, they need to log back in, and as soon as they do, they will see the exit form available on their homepage for them to click on and complete. You will not be able to move forward with exiting the member in eGrants until they complete this step in their AmeriCorps account. Now, you are able to view where members are in this process in your eGrants account. So again, here we're back in Pending Exits. Again, I got here by clicking the S&N work basket in the left-hand menu, and then the Pending Exits tab up on the top right. The last column here is labeled Exit Form. This is telling you which members have submitted their exit form. So you can see in this list, 2 members have gone into AmeriCorps already and completed or submitted their exit form. Again, this Pending Exits page really is where you're going to manage your exit process. This is telling you that these 2 members are now ready to be exited. But before moving forward, I first want to pause here to detail more what to do when a member is not available to complete their exit form in AmeriCorps. So this will be the case for members who you are needing to exit without an education award, who have already stepped away from your program and are not able to be reached anymore. We know this situation comes up, and this is where this alternative path in our summary flow chart comes into play. So if the member is not already in your pending exits list, you will still go in and unlock their exit form, but then you will be able to click on their name. You can do it right out of that pending exits page, and you can actually complete their exit form yourself as a staff in eGrants in order to then move forward with exiting them and completing an unsuccessful exit without an education award. So to briefly show what you will see in eGrants, this is the exit form that will appear when you click on the member. It asks some basic information about the member, but the important piece is at the bottom of this form or page in eGrants. It's circled in blue on this screen, and I'm going to zoom in on it here. So this is that same section just zoomed in on, and you can see you need to see that last checkbox that is circled in red. You're going to click on that box in these specific cases. This box allows you as program staff to certify this exit because you are saying the member was not available to certify it themselves. It's important to note that even in cases where members have left the program and are being exited without education awards, all efforts should still be made to reach the member and have them complete their own exit. Staff conducting exits in this way should really be a last resort, but again, we know it happens. And in these cases where you cannot reach the member and you follow through the process I just explained, you need, as a last step, to also place a memo in the member's file explaining that this exit was conducted by staff without the member's certification, and document all steps that the program took to contact the member before moving forward with exiting them as staff. Okay, let's get back to our pending exits tab and move forward with completing an exit. So here we are, and you would click on, and again, in this case, one of those two members who have submitted their exit form. Once you do that, you're going to get to their final exit page. And in the next slides, I'm going to walk you through each field here, as these are all important ones to get right. The first one you see with that first blue arrow there is for hours of service. So this is where you will enter the total number of hours the member earned. This number must match exactly what their hour log shows. So you are using the member's hour log to fill in these fields. The next field with the second blue arrow is where you will enter the member's completion date. And I'm actually going to dive into a bit more detail about what the completion date means in a separate slide here. So when talking about an AmeriCorps completion date, we are talking about the last day that the member earned AmeriCorps service hours on their AmeriCorps member hour log. Again, you're using the hour log here. So what this means is that this date will most likely be different for different members at your program, and it does not need to correspond at all to your YouthBuild graduation date. Okay, so you filled in those first two fields. Now the next part is under Education Award Status, where you will click the drop-down menu and select the appropriate option. Your choices in that drop-down menu are eligible for an entire education award, eligible for a partial education award, or not eligible for an education award. So you'll pick the applicable option for the member that you are exiting. Right under that drop-down menu is a very important question, but you wouldn't necessarily recognize that, so we always need to point it out. The question reads very simply, did the member perform satisfactorily? And it asks you to click yes or no. You need to always click yes in answer to this question, barring some very extreme circumstance. What's important to understand is that if you ever selected no, this member would never be able to be enrolled in any other AmeriCorps program forever into the future. It's a bit odd, but that's what happens. So simply always say yes to that question. Okay, and then we're at the end. You need to certify the exit with these boxes. Always double check that you've entered everything accurately, and then click approve. Clicking approve will complete the AmeriCorps member's exit, and this is the end of the eGrants exit process. There's one final important note about this exit process, and that is the requirements around timing. So when do AmeriCorps exits need to be complete by? The answer is that AmeriCorps members must be exited from eGrants within 30 days of their AmeriCorps completion date. Again, their completion date is the last day that the member earned service hours on their hour log. So you have until 30 days after that completion date to get into eGrants and complete the member's exit. With that, we're going to switch gears. In the next part of this video, we'll be discussing the 4 different types of exits available for YouthBuild AmeriCorps members. AmeriCorps exits can be separated essentially into 4 categories. These are exits for full education awards, exits without any education award, then early exits with partial education awards due to employment, and early exits with partial education awards due to compelling personal circumstances. We will discuss special requirements, procedures, and particularly documentation needed for each of these types of exits next. First, we'll begin with by far the simplest, and that's exits for full education awards. This is when a member serves with your program through their service term, they earn all the hours required of them, and they are ready to be exited for the full education award amount as they completed all of their hours. There is no additional paperwork required for this type of exit. As a brief reminder, as with all files, you should double check and confirm hour logs are complete and final evaluations are on file. But then, as we've discussed in this video, you will support a member in accessing their AmeriCorps account to complete their exit form. You will complete their eGrants exit. Nothing additional or extra is required to document these exits. So let's move on to the next type of exit. Exits without education awards. This is the type of exit you will use when a member voluntarily withdraws from your program or you need to release a member from your program. In these cases, you should use our early withdrawal release form to document that the member left without finishing the program and what happened. This form needs to be kept in the member's file. A quick reminder, a release for cause must follow the discipline process that was outlined in the member service agreement that both staff and members signed at the time of their enrollment. Another reminder, this is most likely when you will need to manually unlock the exit form and complete the exit yourself in eGrants. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you should still be trying to get the member to complete the exit form themselves and document the attempts to reach out to the member. But often it is these situations of release for cause or voluntary withdrawal where the member will not complete that form. So get all of your documentation together and then complete the exit after your attempts to contact them. We discussed earlier in the video the need to write a memo in these cases. So remember to include that memo with the early release form in the member file. Another reminder that all of the other rules still apply here about timesheets being complete and accurate because you are still reporting hours in eGrants. So here we are in eGrants. Again, hours and completion dates need to match the hour logs on file. And then in these cases, it is just really important to remember that you are selecting not eligible for education award from the drop-down menu. Everything else is the same as any other kind of exit. One last reminder, even in these types of exits, unsuccessful exits without ed awards, end-of-term evaluations still need to be on file. Next, we'll discuss partial awards for employment. These exits are available for members who need to leave your program before they've completed all of their AmeriCorps hours because they need to and they have secured a job. A member is eligible for an early exit for employment once they have completed at least 50% of their AmeriCorps hours. Their education award will be prorated based on the percentage of their hours that they did complete. When conducting early exits for partial awards, documentation is always the most important part. So to document this type of exit, you will use our exit for employment form. You can see it on the screen. Member and staff will complete this form and attach it to back up third-party documentation verifying that the member secured employment during service or within 30 days of their exit. Most often, the easiest documentation for these exits is for a member to bring you their first pay stub. An offer letter works also, as both of those will include the name of the employer, the member's name, and it will have a date that correlates with the AmeriCorps exit date you're going to report. So this complete form with that extra verifying document needs to be kept in the member file. Quickly, here we are back in eGrants. Again, as with all exits, hours and completion dates need to match the hour logs that you have checked and confirmed. But then here for these exits, you want to remember to select eligible for partial education award from the drop-down menu. That's the only difference. When you complete an exit form with this information, eGrants will automatically prorate the education award amount issued to this member based on the hours that you enter in. Okay, and that brings us to our last type of AmeriCorps exit: partial awards for compelling personal circumstances. This is definitely the most broad category and in a way the most tricky category, so let's dive in. First, what do we mean by a compelling personal circumstance? This is a very vague term that can include any number of situations. Most importantly, we are talking about circumstances that are outside of the member's control that will prevent them from being able to complete their AmeriCorps hours at your program. What you see listed here on the screen are only some examples. In no way is this a closed, comprehensive list, but this is a list of compelling personal circumstances that we have seen come up regularly in our YouthBuild community that could potentially qualify a member for an early exit with a partial education award. Now, with that said, again, documentation is important, and in these cases, documentation can be challenging. So we're going to talk about that next. Similar to exits for employment, for compelling personal circumstances, members can be exited early and earn a partial prorated education award that corresponds to the hours they did earn. Different here, however, the threshold for qualifying for this type of exit is lower. Members can be eligible for this type of exit once they have earned only 15% of their AmeriCorps hours. But as mentioned on the last slide, as with all early exits, these must be justifiable and documented. Here you're going to use our compelling personal circumstance exit form. And same as with exits for employment, this form must be completed by both staff and members and have attached to it some kind of third-party backup documentation to verify or substantiate the situation or circumstance the member is facing. So an easy example would be a doctor's note that could verify a pregnancy, an injury, or an illness, either of the member themselves or a family member who the AmeriCorps member will need to be a caregiver for. But it's easy to see how providing documentation for many things that could qualify as a compelling personal circumstance may be challenging. We do say in AmeriCorps, if it isn't documented, it didn't happen. And there may be times when we can't move forward with a successful early exit for a partial ed award if you cannot document the situation. But that is why we recommend contacting us in these cases. If you're looking to initiate an early exit for a partial education award, we want you to get in touch with your AmeriCorps portfolio manager here at YouthBuild USA. These exits can be tricky, and we're here to help. We can talk out with you specific situations that your member might be facing and possible documentation options. We want to make these exits available to members who need them, but we also need to make sure that we're staying in compliance with all AmeriCorps regulations. Definitely the first time you're managing this type of exit, your portfolio manager will want to review with you the documentation you have in the member's file prior to you exiting the member in eGrants. We really are here to support you in this process. And this brings us to the end of this video. As always, thank you for all of your hard work and service to our members and our communities. And again, please reach out to your AmeriCorps portfolio manager with any questions you have about what was covered in this video.